guys, what's good, what's up, what's poppin'? So I'm here again with a book review. I already recorded once, but I didn't like how, first of all, how long it is because I have like 8 books. Secondly, my mum interrupted and I don't know how I'm gonna edit her out. So first, obviously I'm wearing makeup today. This isn't the best I can do. You can see on my Instagram I can do a lot better. I just slapped this on today. I'm just testing out some new makeup by NYX, the Bear With Me line, because I'm not a full coverage kind of girl. I really like light makeup that looks like skin. And so far so good. I've had it on since about like, I don't know, 10 o'clock this morning. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later. It's like 8 hours or whatever. If you're interested in finding out some more about how I do my makeup and stuff, you can. I won't be doing any tutorials or anything like that. I have dry-ish skin. And this is not a skin or makeup video. What am I talking about? Let's get into the books. Cool. So when I was about 16, 17, I really got into Wattpad. I think the same can go for everybody. When I started uni, I kind of took a break from reading, got into Netflix, finished uni now. Oh, haven't finished uni. Another story for another day. I'm on a gap year from uni, and I've had a few books from before uni. I've had a lot of these books from after uni, and I just like, they were just there. So I thought at the beginning of the year, I thought I'm going to finish the books that I've got, that I've had for years. These are the 3 books that I had. This one, this one I only had from last summer. That's called My Name is Leon by Kit Duvall. This one is Gone Girl, which I've had, I don't know how many years I've had. Whoa, this thumb is messed up. Just ignore that. This book I've had from, I don't know when. I got it from either going to Amsterdam or coming back from Amsterdam. My grandparents lived there, so I go there often. I don't remember if it was going there or coming back, but I got it thinking I was gonna read it on a plane. I should have known better. I don't read on journeys, I sleep on journeys. But yeah, this was a good book. I'm gonna kind of go into a little bit more in a moment. This was The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, which is by Jenny Colgan. Right, so let's start with the oldest one, which is this one. I picked this one up in the hospital. It was about 50p or so when my mum was going for some treatments about maybe 3-4 years ago. I don't know. I was kind of going with her to the hospital, and I saw the book and I wanted it, and it was 50p, so she got it for me. Yeah, it's by Jenny Colgan. I don't know how old it is because it was donated to the hospital. If you didn't know already, the hospital always has like donated books there, which tend to be selling from like 50p to £1 to £2. Saw this one, read the blurb, and this is the blurb. Now obviously you would never ever look up your exes on Facebook, no. And even if you were, even if you did, you most certainly wouldn't run off trying to track them down, risking your job, family and happiness in the process. Posey Sutherland, on the other hand, Posey is delighted when Matt proposes, on top of a mountain, in a gale, in full-on romantic mode. But a few days later, disaster strikes. He backs out of the engagement. Crushed and humiliated, Posey starts thinking, why has her love life always ended in total disaster? Determined to discover how she got to this point, Posey resolves to get online and track down her exes. Can she learn from the past mistakes? And what if she has let Mr. Right slip through her fingers on her way? Anyway, this book is interesting to read. She goes back and traces all her exes, seeking closure. What I like about the story at the end was the fact that that Jenny wrote alternate endings for if Posey ended up with any one of her exes, and I think that's a really nice touch to it, because usually when a story's got multiple people involved, you want to know what happens to everyone else, or what would have happened if this went differently or that went differently. And she included that, which was nice for me. It's a nice finished book. It took me about maybe a week or 2 to finish, probably a week. I get a lot of downtime where I work, so I tend to just pick up a book and read whenever it's a bit down. I just work in a call centre, so whenever the calls aren't really coming through, pick up a book. Yeah, it was really interesting to read. I didn't cry reading this one, I don't think. I didn't cry. I just had like moments of whoa, or funny moments. Gone Girl. I think almost everyone's heard of Gone Girl, whether you've seen the movie or read the book. This book had me in my feelings, okay? This one, okay, there are two sides to every story. Who are you? What have we done to each other? These are the questions Nick Dunn finds himself asking on the morning of his 5th wedding anniversary when his wife Amy suddenly disappears. The police suspect Nick. Amy's friends reveals that she was afraid of him and that she kept secrets from him. He swears it isn't true. A police examination of his computer shows strange searches. He says they weren't made by him. And there are persistent calls on his mobile phone. So what did happen to Nick's beautiful wife? Now, this book, I don't want to say much about it. What I will say is that it jumps from back in time. There's like time jumps. I don't like books with time jumps because it's always hard for me to follow where we are in time. But this book right here, it was good. It gripped me. It grabbed me and gripped me. This book, yeah, had me in my feelings. It had me hating men and then hating women and then hating men again and then thinking men are dumb, and then I was just like, I was going full circle with this book. And that's why I like to read. In a movie, you watch the movie, you're just kind of enjoying the movie, you're taking it in. Books, you feel like you are the character, you feel like you're in the story, you feel what they're feeling because of the way it's written. For me, that's how I feel anyway. I don't know if people feel that way for movies, but I personally feel a lot more involved when it's a book, when I'm reading a book. And so this book was a really good read. I was astonished, to say the least. Then we've got My Name is Leon. This book made me cry. I cried whilst reading this book. Okay, this is by Kit de Waard. I keep saying it like that because it sounds Dutch to me. Anyway, it's 1981, a year of riots and royal weddings. The Duke of Hazzard is on TV. Curly Whirlies are in the shops. Now, Curly Whirlies are banging sweet. And trying to find a place in it all is 9-year-old Leon. He and his little brother Jake have gone to live with Maureen. They've lost one home, but have they found another? Maureen feeds and looks after them. She has wild red hair and mutters swear words under her breath when she thinks they can't hear. She claims everything will be okay, but will they ever see their mother again? Who are the couple who secretly visit Jake? Between the street violence and the street parties, Leon must find a way to reunite his family. Now, the blurb isn't really... It doesn't do the book any justice, I must say, because it makes it seem like that is that part of the story. It makes it seem like the story is based around these 3 people, but it's not. It's really not. That's just a small part of the story. Like, it's a really, really good read. Now, Leon is mixed. He is, his mother's white. I don't know, which part of England she's from. And the dad is Caribbean, black man. And we kind of experience what it's like to have a Caribbean dad a little bit. The way Leon thinks, he's a 9-year-old as well. So it's nice to read. It feels like you're in the mind of a 9-year-old. And it kind of takes you back to when you were that young and how you used to think. And I think Kit did really well writing this story and making us feel like we were understanding a 9-year-old's thoughts, I guess. I think that's what I love about this book so much. You forget you're reading a book and you forget that you're reading in a 9-year-old's perspective. It's read in third person. I think all the books are. But yeah, it's just really good. Like, and at the back there's book questions. So if you're like an analyst for books, yeah, this is really good. I mean, it touches on relationships, childhood, mental health. Those are the questions that come up. And I just think if you like those things in history, it's definitely worth reading. I'm going to lend it to one of my colleagues at work because I just think it's really good. I tried to get my sister to read it, but she's not really much of a reader as much as she used to be before. And these... That was scary as fuck. I think she's still okay. She's okay. My heart is beating. Okay. These books I owned already. Finished them all in, I think, February, I want to say. Now, the next batch of books. Reading My Name is Leon. And having that Caribbean dad and Leon being mixed made me want to read more books where there was more culture, where there was more blackness, I suppose, more Africanness, so I could relate. I read Ghana Must Go by Taye Selassie, and how I came across this book was I was having a conversation with my colleagues. We were talking about, so they're Pakistanis, and we were talking about the beef between Indians or Asians and Pakistanis. And then I was like, oh, Nigerians and Ghanaians have that kind of thing. And then I said something about Ghana Must Go. And then we were looking at Ghana Must Go bags. I was educating them, the African one, about where that name came from. And then all of a sudden I was catching corn for being kicked out of Nigeria. And then whilst I was like obviously going on Google to show them about this kind of stuff, this book came up. And I was like, oh, there's a book. And there's a story. So I never read the blurb of it online. I kind of just bought the book thinking that it would be set in those times. So I was really interested to see what life was like. Like, obviously, if the book was set around those times, I was really interested to see how it was like. Because my dad and my granddad, I don't think they were affected by it that much. But this book only has a really small snippet of that kind of life in there. Very, very tiny snippet. Instead, the blurb is, meet the Says or Sais, a Nigerian Ghanaian family living in the United States. A family prospering until the day father and surgeon Kweku Sai is the victim of a grave injustice. Ashamed, he abandons his beautiful wife Fola and their little boys and girls, causing the family to fracture and spiral out into the world. New York, London, West Africa, and New England on uncertain troubled journeys until many years later, tragedy reunites them. Now this broken family has a chance to heal, but can the Sais take it? Now this book is really poetic. It's really English lit analyst vibesy, really hipster. I found it quite hard to read in terms of like following the words and understanding what is going on in the story. I really loved the plot. I think if you have like mental health issues, you might get triggered by it. There's some bulimia in here. There is some I don't know if it counts as molestation if it's a family member that's making you do it to somebody else. And I might have given a really big spoiler there. But yeah, that's in there. There's obviously absence of a father and the effects of the absence of the father. It touches on a lot. It's a really tragic book, but in the end, everyone comes together. And I guess if you're not a negative Nancy who thinks like cynical and you're like, life isn't like that, this might not be the book for you. But if you're the kind of person who goes through the storm and comes out better or comes out on top and you like reading about those kinds of things, this might be something you'd like to read. But I will warn you, it is kind of hard to read in the sense of the way it's written. It's really poetic, very I don't know what the word is to describe it, but I just feel like it's something that like graduate English students read. I don't think it's for us regular folk. But the plot is what will keep you motivated to finish the story. The next book I read was From Pasta to Pigfoot. Now this is the second part of the story. I'm just going to get up the blurb for this book because this is the part 2 and I borrowed part 1. It wasn't my own book, so I borrowed it from a lady from my church because we were talking about, you know, books, and she recommended it to me, and she loaned her book to me. So okay, this is the blurb. I found it on Amazon. It was $7.74 for the paperback. Now, dismissed as a cultural lightweight by the man she's desperate to please, underachieving PA Faye Bonsu is on a mission to find love. A disastrous night out leaves the past fanatic Faye's romantic dreams in tatters and underscores her alienation from her African heritage. Leaving her cozy middle-class life in London's leafy Hampstead to find out what she's missing, Faye is whisked into the hectic social whirlpool of Ghana, where she meets Sonny, the pretty boy womanizer, Edwin, her host's America-crazy boyfriend, Baba, of the enormous hips and sardonic tongue, Stuart, the British expat who loves all things and women Ghanaian, and the handsome Rocky Asante, a cynical career-obsessed banker who has no time for women. Until now. Transported into the world of food, fun and sun, and faced with choices she had never thought possible, Faye is forced to discover that no matter how far you travel, you can't find love until you find yourself. This book was amazing to read, to say the least, okay? So I related to her on some part that she hadn't been to... She was born in Ghana, but her mum died when she was very young, and then they moved to England with her dad and brother. So she's not completely... lost out, I suppose. But since moving to the country when she was very young, now being about 25, 26, she never went back again up until this book. So she felt quite alienated from her culture. I mean, in the book you find she eats fufu and has, you know, the food and stuff, except from Pigfoot. And then she finally goes to Ghana, and I love the book because I myself recently went to Ghana, which you will see in my Ghana experience vlog. I recently went to Ghana in December, and so reading the bit where she was on the way to Ghana and when she stepped off the plane and the whole feeling of it all, I felt like I had been transported back to Ghana again, and I loved how that felt. I felt like I know what she's talking about. If I'd have read these books before going to Ghana, I think I would have felt on the outside a little bit, but reading it, I was like, I know what she's talking about. I know exactly what she's talking about. I know exactly the smells that's being described. I know the colours. I know the feeling. I know everything. And it just felt so good because, you know, as a black girl, when you read, like, stories like, I don't know, Gone Girl, you're reading it and you're like, whoa, this is mad. But when you read this book and these kinds of books, you're like, I feel that. I get that. And that's what I loved about reading these books. Anyway, the part 2 is obviously a continuation of the part 1. It's a little bit thicker than this book. I finished the books in about just over a week. I finished these way back in about, I want to say February, March time. Really good book to get, I think, in my opinion. I think it's a really good book. If you love romantic stories and want to see yourself in the book, get the book. It's good. The next book I've read is Homegoing. Now this book is amazing. It was recommended to me by Ajwa from Twitter. And this is a book which kind of follows 2 lineages, 2 family trees from one person, but down to lots of generations. I think we follow 6 generations of the family. So I'm going to read the blurb. Well, first is by Ya Jessie. I keep wanting to say Jessie, but it's Jessie. That's how you pronounce that, my mom said. So, Ifya and Essie, 2 sisters with 2 very different destinies. One sold into slavery, one a slave trader's wife. The consequences of their fates reverberate through the generations that follow. From the Gold Coast of Africa to the plantations of Mississippi, from the missionary schools of Ghana to the dive bars of Harlem. Spanning continents and generations, Ya Jessie has written a miraculous novel. In an intense, heartbreaking story of one family and through their lives, the story of America itself. Now, without giving too much away, this book right here, it's amazing. And there's, in the beginning, I'm going to try my best, okay, so we've got a little proverb. Okay. I hope I don't embarrass myself. Ebusua te se kwe. Se wo atria, uhunu se ebum. Se wo ben ho a, uhunu se noa se enuanu bia sisi ni baby nko. And what that means, I don't know if I pronounced all of that right, but anyway, the family is like a forest. It's like the forest. If you were outside, it's dense. If you're inside, you see that each tree has its own position. Now, when I first read this book, and then the next page is the timeline. I mean, the family tree. I thought to myself, what it means is, in the family, every person in the nuclear family I thought of, which is the mum, dad, and then the children, everyone's got their own position in the family, in the sense of everyone's got their own character, a part they play. For example, there's 3 siblings in my family. I'm the last. I would say the eldest is the captain, the middle one is like the secretary, who shares the co-captain, and I am just the chill peacemaker. So I am the UN president, and they are the presidents and the financial secretary. But it's not about that at all. What it is, to me, what it means is, in this lineage, in this family tree, each and every person in the family tree plays a massive part in as to what happens next. Obviously, that's obvious. If your mum chooses, she lives in Ghana. My mum choosing to move from Ghana when she was 19 to come to this country played a massive role in my life. If she hadn't have done that, I would still be in Ghana. No doubt. I don't know if I would be in school, if I would be, if I would have been educated. I don't know if I would have been, having my own salon or whatever. I don't know. I probably would be looking at my cousins, or I would probably be at uni or whatever. But yeah, this is just mad, because obviously we go from, this is the family of the one that married a slave owner. That family line stayed in Ghana. The one that got sold to slavery, that family ended up in America. I don't want to spoil it, but it's really good. I think you should read it. If you are Ghanaian, you should read it. If you are American or African American and you like the whole roots and history, you should read it. If you are neither of those things and you love history and culture about other places, read it. If you are ignorant, read it. General consensus, read the book. If you don't like what they call black trauma and digging that up again, I don't know. I still think you should read it. Unless you're cynical. If you're cynical, don't read it, because you're going to be like, ugh, this could never happen in real life. Fair enough, that's your opinion. But I think it's a really good book. I really loved it. I wish there was more to read. Honestly, I think this book was really, really great. I love how they touched, like, they go from, basically, what they do is, they'll have one family member that is in Ghana, and then the next chapter will be the family member that's on the same generational line, but in America. So here's what's happening in Ghana. Meanwhile, in America, I think it should be a film. They're not gonna do it any justice, but I think it should be a film. Now, finally, I'm reading Welcome to Lagos by Chibundu Onuzo. Now, this book, I find it really hard to get into, and it might just be because it's Nigerian based. Not that I hate Nigerians or whatever, but I just don't feel as connected to the story. This is 5 runaways ride the bus from Bayelsa to a better life in a mega city. They are unlikely allies: a private, a housewife, an officer, a militant, and a young girl. They share the need for escape and dream for the future. Soon they will also share a burden none could have expected, but for now, the 5 sit quietly with their hopes as the billboards fly past and shout, "Welcome to Lagos." Haven't gone very far in it. There are bits that are really interesting. There are bits that I have absolutely no idea what's going on. But I will endeavour to finish this book. And hopefully I will be doing more book reviews. I think next time what I'll do, though, is whenever I read like 3 books in a row, 3 or 4, I'll review them, so then it's like maybe only 10 minutes long rather than a whole, however long this is going to be. Just going back quickly to Homegoing, I forgot to mention, what was I going to say? Oh, the reason why I love this book so much is because I knew a lot about the times of the book. There was nothing in this book that I felt like I had to go and research, which was the case for My Name is Leon. Now, that is only because I generally love my culture. I love my country. I love the history behind my country. And so therefore, I always end up reading about stuff. So nothing came to surprise for me in terms of... Okay, there was one bit that came to surprise for me. Was when we were in America and they were building the coal mines and there were white people that were being sent down there. That came as a surprise to me. But that was nothing really much to do with my culture or anything. So even the American side of things, like obviously after watching movies like The Help or Glory, films like that, I always end up doing some reading around it anyway. We learn about it in history at school. So everything here was already known. But if you don't know anything about Ghana, you don't know anything about the slave trade, you don't know anything, it would be good to read around it before reading the book so you can feel more. Unless you're the kind of person that doesn't mind researching whilst reading, that's up to you. I didn't know anything about the riots in 1981, so I had to read after or kind of during. Again, wasn't an issue at all. I love reading, knowing about history, culture, everything. Anyway, that's the book review. I hope you enjoyed it. I made a second video to try and make it shorter, and it ended up only being 3 minutes less, so I don't know. I guess I have less to edit now. But if you liked this, please do leave a comment below. If you have any recommendations of what I can read next, let me know. And I'm sorry I've sounded so clogged up. I have had a cold for the past 2 weeks, but I'm getting better. I haven't had to blow my nose for the past few days, which I love. Well, I like blowing my nose actually. I feel like it feels good. But we're not going to talk about that right now. But yeah, leave some recommendations below to all my 17 subscribers. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you do actually end up picking a book up and reading it. If you do, again, let me know. And yeah, hope you have a blessed rest of your day. Thanks for watching. I actually forgot to mention I have some other books as well, actually. These aren't storybooks, but I have these. I have Boundaries in Dating by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. Boundaries in general. And also The Money Secret by Rob Parsons. I actually picked up this one as a recommendation by Mela Child, but I just haven't actually had a chance to read it. Well, I have had plenty of chances to read it, but I just can't bother. These ones aren't really books that you're going to rush through. I think they're kind of like growth books, so you kind of take it a little bit day by day. In the Boundaries books, it's like there are think pieces. It's a bit interactive as well. But those are the other books that I have in my shelf that I am due to read, that probably will be in a review at some point in the future. But yeah, if you have any recommendations for those kinds of books as well, for personal development and such, drop them below as well. Again, thanks for watching.